All right, what is up, everybody? Shell Scout 0013 here, coming in with a Yoda Masterclass series with Chris Velazquez, or better known as Kylar, in the Discord's server. And yeah, we wanted to kind of talk about Yoda and really go in depth with him. And this is the kind of like the first of a series that we're going to try, maybe with a few different characters, but at least we're starting with Yoda because he is the most complex. So just a few announcements. If you're interested, you can look at the timestamp down below if you don't care about the giveaway. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about the ways to enter into that, and then I'll get into the rest of the video. So there's three different ways to enter and win. First off, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment down below. That'll enter you in to win an unopened box of Rebel Troopers. And another way to win is to be a member of the Discord. All you have to do is sign up, and which is free, and start chatting or leaving comments, which is also free. But what I'll do is, in order for you to win, I'll basically look at the who is chatting, and that will tally up, some extra points for you. And lastly, all you have to do is be a member of the Clan of Shadows Patreon. If you want more ways to win, then all you got to do is just sign up, and that gets you extra giveaway points. If you just want one extra point, then all you got to do is just be an unpaid subscriber, which is pretty cool. But it really helps the channel if you can at least do $1 or even more, because that'll help with more giveaways and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks, guys. And if you enjoy this, then hopefully what you can do is keep on watching. All right, and I'll get into it. All right, what is up, everybody? Shell Scout 0013 here, coming in with a very detailed breakdown on Yoda, the Masterclass, with Kylar here.
Hello, hello.
And he is going to give a beautiful rundown on how to really focus on playing Yoda and all the tips and tricks that you need to know if you want to be a very good Yoda player. So I'll go ahead and let you take it away.
Yeah, so I definitely want to start with the unit card for Yoda. At 200 points, he's definitely a steep cost. You have to make sure that you want to play Yoda. You're going to be putting a lot of points into him. He starts off as a quarter of your army before he's upgraded. So that's something that you need to be considering, need to be thinking about. But what do you get for a quarter of your points? You get a ton. His profile is pretty standard as a trooper, 5 health, red saves, 4. Courage is pretty great. This guy isn't getting suppressed anytime soon. Uh, the surge crit, surge defense makes him feel unbelievably tanky. Immune to pierce means that it's incredibly difficult to get a lot of that damage to punch through, because all Jedis will have that immune pierce. And the only downside that we really see on his card is that he's a speed 1 unit. And we'll cover at a later point why that might be a little deceptive, where it looks like he's going to be this slow unit who's not really moving around the battlefield all that fast, old man Yoda. But a lot like episode 2, when he turns on the when he turns on the juice, you're going to see him flipping around the battlefield and spinning around and being super agile. And this guy is actually incredibly tricky and hard to lock down, and can do some incredible things with movement, because he gets to cheat in various fun ways. So let's talk about his card powers, and I'm going to do these out of order for a reason. We're going to start at the bottom with Master of the Force 2. Now, Master of the Force is really one of those powerful abilities that some Jedi have, which allow you to use your Force powers over and over and over again without needing to recover. Most Force powers that are usable will have a tap icon that says after you use it, it's exhausted, and then until you recover, you can't use it again. Well, Master of the Force X will untap X of those cards. Well, great. So he's untapping 2, right? And he has 3 Force slots available to him. That's incredible. There's not a ton of Jedi who have access to 3 Force slots, so that makes him really, really great and customizable. And that's one of the reasons why I like him so much, mostly because of that customization. You want to play him as a defensive guy? Great. You want to play him super offensive? Cool, go for it. Or maybe a little bit of both, and you don't feel like you're giving anything up because he's got 3 Force slots, so you can kind of put 2 defensive and 1 offensive option on his kit, and you're not really giving anything away, right? You don't have to make that choice at list building. You can make it during gameplay. So that's why Master of the Force 2 is so powerful and so awesome. There aren't very many Master of the Force 2s in the game either, so this is definitely something that people need to really, really think carefully about when you're choosing your Force powers. So, the next thing I want to talk about is Ataru Mastery. There's a lot of words there, but really it boils down to Yoda can attack twice. He breaks the limitation of only being able to use one attack action. So he attacks twice if he wants to. You can use both of your actions to attack. Well, what's super cool about that is that because he can do up to two attack actions, things that make you do extra attacks or attacks as part of something else also get to be triggered multiple times. Charge, relentless, right? Or he has a ranged attack on his profile. He could just shoot two volleys of force wave out there. That's always a great option. And if you're fire supporting some clones, I mean, taking away their cover, doing suppressive, and it's a surge to crit platform to fire support off of, pretty great, right? So this double attack is going to be pretty awesome. As a bonus, every time he attacks, he's getting a dodge token. So he can generate two dodges off of attacking, which is so cool. And it also makes your opponent not want to attack him back because, like other Jedi, he gets all the benefits of a lightsaber, which is if he uses a dodge, he gets to send back wounds on surges, right? So that's that deflect keyword at play, right? So he has deflect built in. And he also gets an aim token whenever your opponent shoots him. So again, becomes an even better fire support platform if you get a couple shots into him and you got some free aims, and then now you're shooting your force waves and hey, you got aims, and that's pretty awesome. So there's a lot of really cool things happening there. Effectively, Ataru Mastery really flips the game on its head because the double attack, getting free dodges, getting free aims, and then still being able to keep deflect for range shots is super powerful and something that people are going to need to consider whenever they're shooting and or being near Yoda. And the
Now,
last ability on there. Oh, go ahead.
all right. So he can perform two attacks, and then with fire support. So I know that you're only allowed to fire support like once, but since he's attacking twice, it's not like Gunslinger. This is totally different. So would he be able to force blast and then you fire support, and then since you can attack again, if you force wave again, sorry, can you fire support a second unit?
Yes. Yes, you
Nice.
can. Yes, it is a start to stop attack action, and then it is a start to stop new attack action. It is not a split pool, and it is not a trigger that splits up your attack into multiple attacks. It is an attack action with its whole chain, and then you do a whole separate attack action. Now, the number of times you're going to do that in a game are very, very few. You are giving up two orders to do that,
Yeah.
but a surge to crit blast suppressive pool is actually a pretty good one if it makes sense. So it's just, again, it's one of those Yoda is a toolbox, and he comes with a ton of options. And hopefully, throughout these series of videos, people are going to start seeing new ways to go. Oh man, in that game, it was so cool because you saw that one little thing that you could do that your opponent couldn't possibly have thought up ahead of time, right? Getting those getting those double suppressive shots off to suppress two units so that they couldn't make their move action on their turn, and now they don't have as many units on the point for key positions as they thought they would, right? Like these are the things that you're going to be looking at in a larger sense, and so it's not so much about the any one thing that his powers do. It's sort of like the sum of all the parts, and that is where Ataru Mastery starts to really break the game, right? It's not just the two attacks, it's the two attacks plus dodges, plus gets the aims, plus gets deflect, right? Plus it's two separate attack actions, which is relevant in its different ways, right? I might want to force wave one unit to suppress them down, and then on my next move, which he doesn't have charge, but spoiler, on one of his command cards, he does get charge if he's using that command card. Maybe you charge a unit after that, right? So you get a little of that double suppression action, do the fire support, lay in at range, and then still get to dive into a nice melee to be healthy and safe, right? So, um, But anyway, to jump back to the last ability, and this one we're going to talk about at great length in other videos, but guidance is one of the strongest, if not the strong. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna say it. It's the strongest keyword in the game.
What
It's
about
the
pulling the
best keyword in the
strings?
game. Way better. Pulling the stream's not even close.
Why?
Not
Why
even
do you think
close.
so? Because that one you can at
Because
least do an attack.
pulling this guidance, you can do attacks too. It just isn't an attack action. So guidance can do anything except specifically the attack action. Pulling the strings is only a move or an attack. So pulling the
Uh,
strings doesn't really have a way to break the game, but guidance, and we'll see this in the guidance 202 video where we really deep dive into like all the fun ways that you can break guidance and do some fun things. It is universal. It is every possible action that a unit could do, and you can have Yoda give them the ability to do that. So, oh no, my clones aren't going to be on the point because they got suppressed, and so that I didn't rally them, and so now they're not going to be standing on the point, and I need them to stand on the point, or else I'm going to lose the game. Well, how about you just guidance a move action and say it's okay that you guys failed your rally. It's okay, you still get to double move, right? Guidance could be the sabotage the moisture evaporators, right? End of the game, you run over, you tap their evaporator with a unit, and then the opponent's like, "Oh no!" And then they run over and they tap it to put the wound back on the evaporator, and then you're like, "Hey Yoda, have that guy who's already over there on that evaporator, have him tap that again." "Oh no, your opponent it can't get over to the evaporator because he moved his one guy and he already healed the evaporator, and then now you got to do this action because again it's anything that's not an attack, right? So guidance can be used in so many creative, cool ways. Picking up boxes on recover the supplies, picking up a hostage. There's so many cool things that you're going to definitely be looking to do with them. And yes, of course, just moving your troops around. Movement is really powerful, and the more moves you can give your army to have them at the correct range band, the better, right? So you have those mortars who are fire supporting and not moving up the board. Well, how about you guidance them to push them up closer so that when they do their next fire support, it's at range 3 next time. Like that's pretty cool. So definitely a lot to think about. And again, we're gonna deep dive into that. So did you have any question or want to bring up anything on his unit card before we look at some of the command cards?
I think the double attack and fire support thing was the biggest one that I had. Uh, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, it's a big one. All right, so let's take a look at the cards, and we're gonna do them 3, 2, 1 in that order. So luminous beings are we? A very famous line from Star Wars. What does it give you? Well, first things first. Each eligible unit. Well, that's not. We don't see that on a lot of command cards, right? There's 2 in the game that do that. Palpatine, entire Legion does that, and I think that's all it does. If I'm not mistaken. Well,
Hmm.
Yoda's card, for whatever reason, they decided, you know what, that's not enough. It's not enough to give clones every order in the entire universe. No, 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 that's not enough. We're gonna also give Yoda this awesome aura at the very small, 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 small cost that he cannot attack. Okay, so what does it do? Each eligible unit, so anyone that's within your command range gets an order. This is incredibly powerful, and don't forget that this means that in some senses, if you have one unit who's too far away, well, it's okay if they didn't get an order, because that's the only order in your pool now, and so you can still go with them whenever they want, right? So if you're playing correctly, sometimes the only order I won't be able to give out is like one special forces token to my Echo who's range 5 and going grabbing a box and doing something super far away. Well, it's okay, because I could just go with Echo whenever I want. He's the only guy who didn't get an order, so therefore I have a 100% chance to draw it, right? The rest of the card effect is really what's the thing that breaks it. So he gets super exemplar. What do I mean by super exemplar? He gets exemplar that goes out to range 3, but it doesn't require line of sight. That's so big 2 aims, 2 dodges, 2 surges. You get all the best green tokens for your guys. Obviously, no standbys. They're not considered a green token anymore. 2 aims, 2 dodges, 2 surges, but he can't attack. But who cares? He's got guidance. So you're just gonna make him. He can just do it. Or sometimes, you know what? I like where he's at. My God, I don't need a guidance. So he just takes an aim and a dodge for the turn, and now he's got 3 aims, 3 dodges, and 2 surge tokens to share with the army. He's an incredibly powerful battery, right? And the important thing to note is that the last line of text says, "If size matters not is in your discard pile," meaning it's been played already, you get to return it back to your hand. Now, which one is size matters not? That's the 1 pip, okay? And as what we'll see is that the 3 returns the 1, the 2 returns the 3, the 1 returns the 2. It makes a perfect cycle. You can literally go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and you'll always get his command cards back into your hand, and you'll be able to play them all. When we go into the deep dive of command cards, which is going to be in a different spot, we will notice that you don't have to play them in order 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. There are other orders that you're going to play the command cards, and sometimes there's other pairings that we want to play with Yoda, and we're going to want to use their command cards too, namely Chewbacca or Padme, and we'll talk about like when their command cards come into play and which ones will be used and kind of in what order. But I just want people to know that that cyclic nature of the command cards is really, really cool. And one of the things that makes Yoda, for me, such a fun commander to have, because you don't have to just go, oh man, this is one really cool command card and I only get to do it once per game. You get to do all of them twice per game if you cycle through them. So we're going to move on to the 2 pip. There is no try. Again, great flavor. Love that. What does it do? Gives it a token to Yoda and 1 trooper. When he gives the order to a trooper, and he is one himself, so it gives it to him himself as well, he gains Outmaneuver and Relentless and a dodge token. Well, that's pretty great. Outmaneuver and a dodge token right off the rip for him and somebody else, and then Relentless. All right, so maybe we're starting to see a little combo starting, right? Guidance now gives people a move. When they get a move, they now get Relentless triggers. So guess what? Guidance just became pulling the strings, but cracked. Instead of pulling the strings and saying move or attack, he gets pulling the strings, move and attack.
Nice.
So this is pretty powerful, and obviously the last line of text, it returns if luminous beings are we, which is the 3 pip that we just looked at, is in your discard pile, return it to your hand. So if you've already played your 3 pip and then you go to play your 2 pip, oh, I got my 3 pip back. Pretty sweet.
That's so
moving
good.
on to the 1 pip net then. Size matters not. Now here is a cracked card with so much going on. It only gives an order to Yoda, which is pretty common for 1 pips, but it just loads him up with keywords. He gains jump 1. Nice. Didn't have jump before. Now he's got a little bit of mobility. Charge. Okay. Hey. So he had Relentless on the 2 pip turn, so he went from having a Relentless to now. Oh, now he's got Charge. Okay, that's pretty spicy. Gets Disengage. Hello, like, and then treat his maximum speed as 3. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Speed 3 Yoda. This is when he pops off. So now you get that Attack of the Clones Yoda who's jumping around the battlefield with jump and disengage and charge and speed 3 and just cleaving up as many units as he wants. And as I already discussed, Ataru Mastery allows him to attack twice, and so now you can just jump into 1 unit, activate charge, chop them up, and because he has disengage, you just, even if you didn't clear the unit, you just jump into another unit and chop them up too. And guess what? Ataru Mastery gave you 2 dodges at the same time, so he is just doing dirty work. It's just so cool, so fun to watch him jump across the battlefield. And this card is gonna it's gonna change everything for you. And then what I think is the best part of the card is actually, yeah, it's super exciting to see all those keywords and just dream about how many droids you can chop up or how many Empire stormtroopers you can chop up. But that second paragraph is where he goes really crazy. He breaks the rule of limiting actions and free actions to 2 times. Now, why is this relevant? Okay. We're going to deep dive into this at a later point where we're going to talk about some of the ways where you can abuse this card, but just I want people to get their mind wrapped around the idea that like sometimes you don't want him to charge into there. And so now he can guidance twice on the same turn. And that is crazy because he can give another unit their whole turn again. So right, because double guidance, as we've discussed, it can do all kinds of things. The only thing it's not going to do is an attack action. So if you've had a unit run over and move and tap Evaporator, you can just guidance and say, okay, hey bud, can you go ahead and tap that Evaporator again? You know, and then and tap it one more time for good measure. Like so many cool things that you're gonna do because he gets to perform his actions twice. So the ability to do free actions twice also does break the game in some small ways. There are going to be times when you need to use force push twice, and so this is a way to do that, right? So you can force push, recover, force push again. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
I
gonna
mean,
say. Is that
just wow,
they?
right?
Yeah, the fact that you got to recover though, in order to use that tapped anything that's tapped, you still have to recover to get that free action again. But yeah, that's the only thing I was gonna bring up. But that's insane because like you could force push someone, and then you could recover, and then force push someone
Well,
again, move speed
let's
3,
just
and then
pretend.
charge.
Yeah, let's just pretend that Yoda is on key positions on turn 6, right? Your opponent has 3 guys on the point, and Yoda isn't even on the point yet. Okay, he's got three bodies of 4 stormtroopers sitting on the point. Okay, and they've moved shot, whatever they did, they got on the point. 3 guys sitting on the point, activated, they're done, and you've got nothing on the point. Well, guess what? Size matters not. Speed 3, jump into them, charge 1 unit, 4 red dice, pierce 2, probably dead stormtroopers, right? Unit number 1 dead. Force push the other one off the point. Boom. Now they're in 1 more off the point. Recover as my second action, force push the third one off the point. They went from 3 to 0 to me being 1 to them 0. So Yoda effectively on key positions counts as 3 units touching the point. That's really, really hard to come back from if you've slow rolled his 1 pip in his turn till after your opponent has those activations and has already committed people to that center point to try to outscore you, and you're just like, it's cool, it's cool. Oh yeah, you got a second guy in there, cool. You got a third guy on there, neat. That's it's great for you. All right, boom, speed 3, jump into your guys, cleave up your lines, push 2 guys off. And if you didn't kill one of the guys, right? That's fine. You just tied the point, right? So even in the worst case scenario where they have a really durable big unit that maybe has 5 models in it, it's a completely healthy unit, which let's just be honest, they probably don't because you've been shooting and you have other guys going on. Fine, cool. I'll tie the point with you for my 1 model. Like incredible, right? Definitely can swing games. And then last paragraph is if there is no try, which is your 2 pip in your discard pile, you return it to your hand. Awesome. So there you go. You play 3 into 2 into 1, and then now you have your command hand recycled back to where you can go 3, 2, and then 1, right? So you just keep looping them. So that is the command cards. Now, the next thing to talk about is force powers, and I don't mean the powers on the force user, I mean the force upgrades. There are a lot of them in the game, right? And I don't want to talk about them all because that would just I think at some point I want people to experiment and see what they like, but I will bring up my favorite ones. And my favorite ones in order are obviously force push. I mean, if you've played this game for more than a month, you probably have seen how crazy force push can be. And when we talk about the deep dive and when we talk about the melee combos that you can do with Yoda, we're going to learn a lot more about force push in the future. Burst of Speed is my number 2 favorite in the game because making Yoda speed 3 on more than 1 turn is pretty awesome. right? So you have multiple turns. You can play his two. He can play his one pip twice a game, and then you can burst the speed. So he basically is speed three times per game. And then if you're pairing him with Chewbacca, we'll talk about his command card in another time. But then you have another way to like make him basically speed 2 with Chewbacca, so that's cool. Burst of speed, so fun. And then the next one that I would want to mention is Force Barrier. I don't think I've ever played Yoda without Force Barrier because wow, what I mean that card is just so good. Yeah, it's 10 points, but I mean you're just saying no. I don't want to roll any saves. Forget that. You know, you basically can get double heavy cover, right? Taking four, two from heavy cover, two from force barrier. That's cool. Oh, your heavy cover and your dodge took care of all the hits, but you got that lone crit, and you're like, oh, it's gonna pierce my guy, and I don't want to lose a body. Okay, force barrier. I don't have to roll. Just forget it. You doesn't matter, right? Awesome card. Taking out those crits, that single crit or the double hits, super powerful. And because Matt Yoda has Master of the Force too, he's recovering 2 force powers every turn. So even if you've already used your force push, and then you don't now you're not in the weird limbo where you're like, oh, I gotta choose. Do I want to have force push next turn or do I want to have force barrier? No, don't choose. You just get them both, right? You get 2 back. That's pretty sweet. And then the last one that I want to highlight as far as like these are my top 4. The ones that I go to the most would be Force Guidance. Giving clones more surges is just so good. And I mean, what else do you really want to say about handing out on his Luminous Beings turn? He's going to get 2 aims, 2 dodge, 2 surge. He'll force Guidance for 2 more surges there. So now it's 4 surges. He can take an aim and a dodge, and that's a 3rd aim, a 3rd dodge, and 4 surges just on himself. That's without pairing him with other people who can break the action economy, right? So he's generating a total of 10 tokens by himself just from a command card and a force power. So force guidance is really incredible. And then the honorable mentions are going to be Jedi Mind Trick. It's definitely got some potential. It's really hard to use. I think that it's got a high skill ceiling. It's cheap, but what it does do is that if you want to play Yoda very aggressive and very melee focused, it stops people from being able to stand by near you. So that when you do use your 1 pip turn and you want to jump from engagement to engagement or what have you, they can't just stand by with half of their army. They have to make that real like consideration, right? So you can just hand that suppression out to somebody so that you can then uh, leave the engagement, that you're in, by force pushing someone away. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's on your relentless turn instead of your disengaged turn, right? You want to force push the guy out from you, but you don't want to get shot up, right? So these are ways where you can kind of get around it. But it's a little bit more niche, right? Only at range 2, and it's only for non-commanders and non-operatives. So there's a lot of limitations to Jedi Mind Trick. So just keep that in mind. And then the last honorable mention is just because I love the card, not because it's good, but Force Lift. It's got Yoda's picture on it, and getting to move some heavy cover around for your army. There are some niche worlds where I played a whole bunch of arcs, and just like having a big heavy barricade moving around just to make sure that my arcs always had heavy cover was just really cute on a very otherwise what I would consider a very light cover board table that my friend had. He didn't own a lot of terrain, and so it was just an easy way to like say like, okay, cool, you don't have a ton of terrain, and I don't want to call this potted plant heavy cover, so I went ahead and I went ahead and ran force lift, and I just brought my own heavy cover with me. It's neat. Would I recommend it in a competitive environment? No, but it's such a cool card, and it's very thematic, so I like it a lot. But those are the ones that I would say are the big highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then next, I think it's time for us to jump into pairings. Like, so we talked a lot about Yoda, but he's a quarter of your army. Well, what's in the other quarter of your army, right? Like, what are you putting next to this guy? And I'll start with the fun choices. The fun choices are, of course, going to be Anakin Skywalker. He's a little
Why?
hungry on the command cards. Okay, he's a little hungry on the command cards, so he wants to play his 3-pip and his 2-pip, typically in that order. But there's a ton of really cool synergy that happens with Anakin Skywalker and Yoda. For one, you could have multiple force barriers going on. Well, that's that's just extra annoying for your opponent. You have another exemplar pool, right? Sharing tokens, and so now there's this weird like I'm sharing with you, you're sharing with me. I've got dodges for days. My army's really tanky, but it's a lot of point investment, right? You're putting half of your army points into these guys. So how do you win with them? Well, how you win with them is the fact that, well, when Anakin's got one of the best lightsabers in the game, and you can start guiding him around to do extra relentless attacks, all of a sudden you now have one scary melee threat for your opponent's army. If they don't have a force user and you get Anakin into their lines with Yoda nearby, and he only has to be range 2 and he doesn't need line of sight to guidance, you could just have Anakin charge somebody, chop them up, bring them down to like one model left, right? Because a full unit is probably going to go down to their, if they're going to take like 4 wounds because of the Pierce 3 and everything. Like a big unit could be either chopped up and completely cleared out, or they're just outright dead. And then instead of getting shot up a whole bunch, you just guidance. Hey, Anakin, either get to safety or jump into another unit entirely and chop them up as well, right? And Anakin with his DMSO, not a target your opponent wants to shoot very much. He's got Courage 3, not going to get suppressed very often, right? And the other thing that's pretty cute is that Yoda's command card, Luminous Beings Are We, counters the flaw for Anakin. So Anakin can't get an order, but if I gave the rest of my army an order, well, guess what? I've got one order in the bag, and it's Anakin. So that's another really cool way to cheat and basically, shore up the um, the negative that Anakin brings, which is the fact that if he does get suppression, your opponent's going to flaw him. So that's pretty cool too. So yeah, between the guidance, relentless attacks, and the fact that they share dodges between each other, so now you have these you're just so many tokens, so many things going around. A lot of really cool things. Is it competitive? Not so much. It's a little bit too expensive. You're going to spend 400 points, give or take, after upgrades on your two unit combo. But I say for fun tables, if you and your friends are rolling dice for fun, it is such a blast to play. I strongly recommend playing it with some medics, right? Go all in on the supporting Yoda and Anakin. But run some medics, maybe some medics in some phase 2s, right? Just you might only be able to get, if you're lucky, like 8 activations. If you're lean, 7 activations. If you want a couple innings. Again, we're not going for competitive. We're going for fun. And the other unit that I would say that it's on the fun list is Clone Commander Cody. Right now, Cody is quite good into certain things, and I definitely think that it's really cool that you're going to get the ability to comms relay off of a vehicle. So even on the turns where like Yoda is the only thing that got an order, you kind of have this other order generating guy without having to go into a clone commander. And clone commander is also kind of like an honorable mention in the fun category, just because getting more orders gets you more fire supports, and that's kind of nice too. But
Mm-hmm.
what I like about Cody is that on the turn where you give him relentless, man, you can actually like move. You can close that range band, get into range 3, get your relentless shot, right, and then still use your take cover to get your dodges, and also still use your observe. And then on Yoda's turn, you can guidance Cody to do another move and get another relentless. And like that's a lot of tokens, right? So there's a lot of, you can see the looping synergies of when you have things. And the other thing too is that Cody has jump, and that's one of the things that people forget. So you can have him hiding behind a wall to do this, right? You can have him completely behind a wall, jump, get that relentless shot, right? Get the observes off, and then you can just have Yoda say, "Hey, guidance. Hey, instead of move, hey Cody, could you jump again?" And then jump him back to safety, right? And then because his gun is further than range, maybe jump him to safety and put him outside of that range 3 band for the big fire support back, or a lot of the return fire, right? So some really cool things that you can do there. And also, in my opinion, personally, I think that one of the big weaknesses of Cody is that his command cards aren't particularly good. But Yoda solves that problem because he's got 6 command cards, basically, because you can play his 3-2-1, 3-2-1. So that's another reason why Cody's a really great pick for the fun category.
Oh yeah,
And
that seems
then
like a
now we'll
that
talk
seems like
about
it'd be so
the.
much fun.
It
Yeah, sorry, go
is.
ahead.
It really is. And actually, and I actually had a list that I called it Tempest Farce because it's just like it's basically like a vehicle Cody Yoda thing. It's a lot of fun. I encourage people to go explore those lists because they're very 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 cool. Um, Not to dip our toe into competitive, because I think that it's worth always talking about from the competitive aspect. The 2 leader choices that you can pair with him, and I'm going to start with Padme. I know she's an operative, but like leader as in like non-core, you know, traditional unit, right? The other
Hmm.
named character that you're going to pair with him. This is Padme. So Padme is really, really good with his 3 pip. Because now Padme all of a sudden has that exemplar. She generates 4 tokens by herself. Quick think plus a aim or dodge plus reliable 1, right? So 4 tokens. Plus, we already talked about how many tokens Yoda's producing. He's producing 10. So now you have 14 green tokens. 14 green tokens? What? What?
And
Are you kidding me? Like, so it's just crazy. I mean, you really really are going to oversaturate your opponent with so many tokens that they feel like you have dodges for days, aims for days, surges for days. It's really really cool.
plus barrier, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on.
What I definitely want to highlight is the power of her token generation and her sharing it, and that's what makes her competitive. That's why I brought her up on the list. And
Oh yeah.
so you want to make her give you those extra tokens. They're valuable tokens, and she's doing those on every turn. So yes, you get the one big turn with 13 14 tokens. That's cool. But every turn she's giving you 4 tokens potentially, a minimum of 3 if she's doing a move. Quick think plus reliable. So she's giving you 1 of each of your valuable tokens, but then she's potentially giving you 4 when she's in a nice healthy spot. And that exemplar is always going to be valuable. And also, give her seize the initiative so that on Yoda's 1 pip turn you can still do fire supports, right? So that's always another way to do it, right? So you give her seize, and then she hands her order off with authoritative, and she can give it to somebody else. And so you play your Yoda 1 pip turn, you go into dive, and you fire support to clean up whatever threat you needed to clean up. So all right, so to move on, the next one to pair with Yoda is Chewbacca. And Chewbacca is absolutely my favorite pairing with him because you get the extra command card. The command card is called Size Matters Sometimes. Now, Chewbacca himself with the Guardian is one of the best things, right? So he has Guardian Commander, so he's going to keep Yoda safe. But Yoda and the Chewbacca command card, which the command card is a Chewbacca command card. Okay, so you can't play this without Chewbacca. It gives an order to both, and then it allows Yoda to piggyback just like the art on Chewbacca. So when Chewbacca moves around, Yoda is picked up and placed in base contact with Chewbacca. This allows you to get around all kinds of really interesting things, right? So he can't perform moves. Well, if you've burst speeded and you have a immobilized token and his speed would be 0, well, guess what? Size matters sometimes, doesn't care because you're going to pick him up and place him into base contact with Chewbacca so he can still move around even if he has 50 immobilized tokens. It doesn't matter. He can still move with size matters sometimes. The fact that it's also it doesn't require line of sight in order to do the range 1 check to picking up Yoda and placing him into base contact, so you get that initial range 1 teleport between Yoda and Chewbacca. That's pretty awesome, right? So on the first turn, if you played your 3 pip and you've opted to generate as many tokens as possible with dodge aim, and just kind of chill out. Well, Chewbacca can move just at range 1, right at exactly range 1 of Yoda. And then on the next turn, if you play Size Matters Sometimes, you just pick up Yoda and teleport him back over to Chewbacca, and you basically get that range 1 teleport, which if depending on where you do the place, could be more than a speed 2 move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, the rest of the text there is just talking about that while Yoda is piggybacking on Chewbacca, Chewbacca gains deflect. He gains the ability to use Yoda's dodge tokens, and more importantly, he rolls red defense dice when it being shot at, but also while using Guardian on Yoda. So he becomes incredibly tanky. So 9 health of red saves makes him incredibly difficult to kill on that turn. So oftentimes what you'll see is that people will um, try to snipe your Chewbacca at the end of the game. He's gotten low, and maybe you know you're trying to avoid a bounty. Boom, size matters sometimes. Now he's red saves, and so that Chewbacca that was sitting there with 3 health left, and your opponent thought, oh, certainly I'm going to kill this Chewbacca next turn, right? All of a sudden it becomes 3 health of surging red saves sitting next to force barrier. Oh, and he's borrowing Yoda's dodges. Like,
Yeah. So I was gonna say,
you're probably not killing that Chewbacca that turn. Like it makes him incredibly tanky.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you've got the reliable two for the red saves, and then if if Yoda is getting targeted, you're gonna gain those extra dodges if he doesn't already have them himself.
Aims. You get the aims from being if they
Oh,
shoot
yeah,
Yoda.
that's
So
right.
they don't
That's
want to
right.
shoot
Sorry.
Yoda. Yeah, they
That's
don't
right.
want to shoot him because he's gonna get free aims, right? So all his force blasts are gonna be now re-rolling, right? So you're gonna get the surge crit, 4 black surge crit blast suppressive with free aims that he didn't have to take aim actions for. That's pretty good too. Yeah, and then those aims are going to convert into dodges, right? So yeah, you gave him a couple aims. Now he's got some dodges because he attacks, because Ataru gives him dodges when he attacks. And so then now Chewbacca can now use those dodges. Oh, and Chewbacca has deflect as well, so that can give him the surge to block
Mm.
if he didn't
Yep.
have the reliable tokens, because maybe he's already used a couple. Like it's crazy. Like it really starts to combo off, and it feels really really strong. And so that's why I always tell people, like, and especially if you have some medics. Oh my goodness, you have a couple medics. It's like they shoot Yoda, they finally plink a damage through, and then you're just like, no, I'll heal that 1 damage you dealt. Um,
Mm.
so the size matter sometimes card is really cool, and we'll definitely see in the deep dive. We're going to see some combos that you're going to do with that. And the last unit that I wanted to talk about, and there's so many good units that you can pair with him, but I think I want to keep it down to the 3 strongest pairings, trooper pairings. Again, I'm only going to be talking about trooper pairings because his 2-pip, right? I mean, we could talk
Mm-hmm.
about all the other good cards, right, that are there. I mean, like, heck, even if you have a line of sight blocking vehicle, makes it incredibly easy for Yoda to get close and do melee. Like, there's other ways to play him, but troopers is what we're focusing on. Well, what are the best troopers? The ARC troopers. They're the best troopers in the game. I'm sorry, it's just my opinion, but I think it's so true. ARC troopers have so many. We talked about how many loaded keywords Yoda has. Well, we had a video where we talked about ARC troopers not too long ago, and if you haven't seen that video, well, that'll convince you. ARC troopers
Yes.
are so good. You get red saving units with impervious. They get scout 2. They've got sharpshooter 1. They have tactical, which, by the way, when you give them relentless, just feels down and dirty because now they move, get an aim, and shoot all in one go. So the Yoda 2-pip card giving them relentless is just absolutely dirty. And then the best part is that you give them that relentless, and then you guidance them, and then they shoot again and get another aim and another attack. Like, these guys are brutal when paired next to a Yoda. And then, of course, you're giving them outmaneuver on that turn as well. So, like, give them even more keywords. Like, can you imagine if our troopers just had on their card, impervious, scout 2, sharpshooter, tactical, relentless, and outmaneuver? Oh,
Jeez.
and defend 1, because it also gives them a dodge, right? And defend 1.
Mm-hmm. That would be
That's so
awesome.
many keywords.
Yeah. Holy crap.
That's so many keywords. So, sorry, and I forgot lethal. So don't forget they get
Mm-hmm.
lethal. So I forgot. There's just so many keywords I can't even keep them all in my head, right? So absolutely bonkers unit, super cool. If you're playing Yoda, I encourage you play. You got to play at least one ARC Trooper, um, full ARC Trooper, whether it's with Echo or not, depending on your points. But get a full unit of ARC Troopers in your list, absolutely. my personal favorite is I run with 2 full arc troopers and then an Echo Strike team in my favorite list with Chewbacca. So, and that just about does it. That is the pairings. That is the 101 with our introduction to Yoda, his card powers, his force powers, the common pairings, and the fun ones, the competitive ones. And I think that'll lead us really well into the next video when we start taking a deep dive into how you can actually play him on the table.
Yes, which is going to be a really good video because we're going to give you some really good visuals with TTS and show you exactly what to kind of do in each situation.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for watching, and I appreciate all of you who are here, and hopefully you learned a lot thanks to Kylar and the fact that he is insanely knowledgeable about the different Yoda pairings and what's going on. So you got to stay tuned for the next video, and that'll be part 2. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. And Kylar, any last words?
Play Wookiees.
Yes. All right, guys. Y'all take it easy, and may the force be with you. And again, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you again for all that you do, guys. And yeah, we will see you in the next video.